Joining us now is Ojinika, Genix, which story is trending around the world, and Genix is in a Christmas mood.
We're all in a Christmas mood.
I see this bunny.
I brought a bunny for Tundra and I to wear.
Okay.
Just to say Merry Christmas Eve to our viewers.
Go on. Give one to Rufai.
No, it's my girl. Merry Christmas Eve to our viewers. Good morning, guys. I don't know if we can have the entire show. It's just for a second. Well, all right. Good morning to you, viewers. Here are some of the stories that are trending across the globe.
In the United States, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex on Thursday released their 2021 Christmas card, revealing their first photo of their daughter, Lilibet Diana, alongside their son, Archie. The photograph was taken in the summer at the Sussex's Santa Barbara, California home by their wedding photographer, Alexei Lumbomersky. While in the United Kingdom, Queen Elizabeth II is facing her first festive season without her husband of 73 years, the late Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip, who died on April 9, 2021. In a personal address to the nation, the Queen will pay a moving tribute to her beloved Duke on Christmas Day. In Hong Kong, 2 more universities have taken down monuments commemorating the 1989 Tiananmen Square massacre. The Chinese University of Hong Kong tore down the Statue of Democracy, while Lingnan University removed a relief sculpture just one day after the Pillar of Shame, a famous statue at the University of Hong Kong, was removed. The statue, which was created by Danish sculptor Jens Galschiø, showed piled up corpses to commemorate the hundreds, possibly thousands of pro-democracy protesters killed by Chinese authorities in 1989. Under sports, Brazilian football legend Pelé was discharged on Thursday and will be spending Christmas with his family after months at the Albert Einstein Hospital in Sao Paulo, where he was being treated for complications following the removal of a colon tumor. Finally, under entertainment, Oscar-nominated actor James Franco has admitted to being a sex addict and sleeping with students of an acting school he previously ran. In 2019, 2 women filed a civil suit against the actor, accusing him of exploiting aspiring actors at his now-defunct school and duping young women into shooting explicit sex scenes. According to court documents, Franco agreed to pay the sum of $2.2 million to settle the lawsuit.
I had girlfriends. I could never be faithful to anybody, so I cheated on everyone before Isabel.
What's going on, really? It sounds funny, but it's so unfair, really. He's a complete sex addict. He's admitting 100.
FM there. Was it on Howard
Stern's
show?
No, it wasn't on Howard Stern's show. Yeah.
Well, he's
so
not
sad.
the only
but
celebrity to have, admitted to sex addiction. But my problem with James Franco, as funny as it does sound, is that he was accused of very serious infractions, serious abuses. And so I think it kind of minimizes the suffering of his victims.
I feel bad for him, though.
Well, terrible.
I feel bad for them.
And
and he should fix his problem.
Absolutely.
I think you can go to rehab for sex addiction.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
He's not the only high-profile person.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Let's begin what's trending. The National Youth Service Corps has reacted to the detention of Sofiyat Akinlabi, the female army officer who accepted a marriage proposal from a youth corps member. The Director General of NYSC, Shuaibu Ibrahim, said that while the scheme encourages corps members to intermarry to promote national integration, Sofiat Akinlabi's case was unusual because she's a soldier and the army has its own regulations, like other organizations, which should be respected. In a statement, the Nigerian army claimed that a female officer was detained for violating the military's rules of engagement. Sofia's detention has continued to elicit a wave of backlash amongst many Nigerians, with over 10,000 signing a petition demanding her release using the hashtag #FreeSofiat. Dr. Bati, I'm coming to you on this story. I mean, it is so... I can't believe we're still waiting for Sofiat. to be released. This is so unfair. I did sign the petition. I don't know if you have seen that link. I'll send it to you. We need to sign this petition and have this woman released immediately. It is unfair, really.
Well, I mean, the petition is on change.org, and over 10,000 persons have signed it. And we also have persons in civil society, including Mrs. Falano, including Deji Adeyonju, Omoyele Sowore, and others, who are saying that this is most unfair.
Yes.
And there's that hashtag Free Sofiat that is out there. Now, what is the alleged offense here? The alleged offense is that at the end of the last batch of Youth Corps members orientation scheme at the Yipata orientation camp in Kwara State. No, don't worry. I see the look on your faces. I'm not going to comment on the name of the orientation camp. I already did that. You know, that this particular officer was wearing the uniform, and a proposal was presented to her. 3-week orientation course. And she got caught by the Cupid's arrow. And she ended up, you know, while she was sent on official duty, getting a proposal for a wedding, which she publicly accepted. Now, what is the Nigerian army talking about? They say she was on an official assignment. Part of her assignment is not to go to the camp and get struck by Cupid's arrow, and then end up accepting a wedding ring. The military, they are insisting that they have their own protocols and that this will amount to a violation of protocols. This is not the first time we have this kind of case. There was a similar case 2 years earlier, somewhere in the east, that was resolved. Before then, there was a similar case involving the police in Ekiti State. The police at the time were accusing a lady officer of getting pregnant without permission of her superiors. And they quoted Section 127 of the Police Regulations Act. It got so bad that the state government, in fact, had to go to court on behalf of the lady. Ekiti, AG Ekiti versus IGP, that's the case. That case also showed up in the industrial court. It has not been resolved yet. Okay, so now you have the military now saying she will be court-martialed. There's another case that I've just remembered. A gentleman called Cute Abiola, who is with the Nigerian Navy. He's a comedian, a part-time comedian. He's very active on Instagram. He was accused of using military uniform to go and be engaging in Baba Salah kind of engagements, you know. So, and the military was saying, no, this is a serious thing. You don't use our uniform to go and be cracking jokes on Instagram. So you can say that at one level you are dealing with an institution that has its own rules. But these rules, I think, should not be cast in concrete.
No.
Because we have also seen here military officers, all these girls who are female soldiers, posting and saying, we are also available to be married.
Yeah.
So our message to the Chief of Army Staff is that is the Nigerian military against marriage. How do we marry pretty girls? A man who likes a girl who is pretty and she likes her behavior, whether they met in camp or they met outside camp, whether she's in uniform or not, will not think of rules. The God of love does not think of military rules. So those rules, I think, with the examples that we have given,
yes.
Even in immigration, some ladies, they were dancing the other day. They were being human. It became an issue. The immigration headquarters said they had no right to dance in uniform. No, we don't want a military or paramilitary establishment in Nigeria where people are not allowed to behave like human beings.
Yes.
We want military and paramilitary officers who are human,
yes,
who have blood flowing in their veins. So I think that this calls for a rethink of this particular colonial, anti-modern, pre-modern,
yes,
strategy that they are adopting. The fact that, okay, we have now been told by one spokesman for the Nigerian military that she will not go through court-martial. Maybe she will just be punished. Look, the Nigerian military may start having problems. If you have girls female soldiers who are there. We call them the Nigerian queens. Now they are allowed to go to the NDA. If it's going to be a problem that, citizens, Adonis, decent Nigerian boys who see a beautiful woman, and this is a beautiful woman, and they want to be associated with her, cannot go there because some pot-bellied senior soldiers will cut-martial the girl. No.
I love that.
I think freedom of choice should be allowed. Freedom of association should be allowed. No military law should violate those basic principles under the Constitution. Whether a woman is wearing uniform or she's wearing hijab and all that, no. The rights of association, the freedom of choice, the right to marry, the right to possess your possession. They are guaranteed under the laws of Nigeria.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I hope this case sets a precedent. I hope that the Nigerian military, Nigerian army is listening to you. Thank you for that, Dr. Abati.
Except
Yes.
that there are institutions like the military that are known for discipline. On this show, one of your stories, you had a story about soldiers. I believe they were dancing or something when a governor was giving them money or something. I personally saw nothing wrong with it. I felt like they were being human. But there were some critics sitting around this table talking about how they ought to have behaved in this way or that because they are soldiers. We all, those of us who like to name our children after generals, we admire the military because of that discipline. There are lots of people who have no real intention for their children to pursue a career in the military, yet they send their children to military school to be drilled in that way. So I have to balance that argument. On this particular issue, this is a romantic gesture gone awry, and it's really sad that it did. I personally see nothing wrong with what they did. It was a feel-good moment, I feel, for the people around them, people who shared the video. We enjoy these displays in Nigeria. We're a nation of romantics, aren't we, ultimately?
Okay, I will let Rufai have his say.
I haven't finished.
Okay, before I respond to this, your point.
Okay, I haven't finished.
I have a rebuttal.
Yes, but what is disheartening for me is the double standard. If you have these rules that are really strict and what have you, and people must adhere, it must apply to everybody across the board. My issue is the latent misogyny here. My other issue is the fact that, okay, in spite of all the media attention, she's not to be court-martialed. We should get some kind of comfort from that. And I hope she's also comforted by people like you and the other 10,000 people who signed this petition. I'm sure that's a comfort for her. But she shouldn't also have been detained. If at all the rules have been breached and there's some kind of reprimand, detention, I think, it's harsh for this in terms, as far as infractions go, really. It's mild.
Dr. Abati, your rebuttal.
No, please go ahead. Don't have a rebuttal for me.
I'm waiting.
So there are many sides to this case, and I was really very passionate about this case, and I did contact some people in the military this morning. That's when I got that report that that they had their rules. The part for them they are claiming is the fact that she was a trainee of the corps members in that camp.
Yes.
And the fact that the relationship was not balanced because she was there to train them. And this was the explanation they gave me. And falling in love with somebody she was there to train was at variance with any rules they have. So they were looking from the point of view of a power play. But in all of this, love doesn't understand power plays.
Thank you.
And humanity doesn't understand power play. We can go way back in history and talk about Romeo and Juliet and the likes. But let's not also forget that the military has got their laws. In all of this, I'm concerned about the welfare of this girl.
Yeah.
Why? Because you see, one too many times, we're having stories of how military officers are being court-martialed, are being slammed for anything that happens. It is a bad feel on the psyche of our troops. And let's not forget, we're fighting a war as we speak in this country. Soldiers are dying, they're losing their hands, their limbs, and everything. And we need something to be able to aid them psychologically. And at this point, where any little infraction is frowned upon, then it doesn't aid them psychologically. And that was the reason for pushing forward this morning with that intervention. And the reassurances that came that, it's just going to be a disciplinary measure. But going forward, we need to look at some of those rules again.
The rules need to be changed.
Because you see,
I am all for
time
that.
has way past all of this. So we all remember the story of how in the American military before, it used to be don't ask, don't tell.
Yes.
And we remember how over the years that has been repealed. So let's not also forget that we need to change those rules. Maybe some of those rules are still very hardline. And in truthfully, some of them are really hardline. And I don't see any reason why these men can't show that sense of belonging and humanity. So I think going forward, apart from this disciplinary measure, when she comes out of it, there should be a review of the conduct going forward. There are some things that should even be celebratory.
All right.
No, we're not moving on yet. And this is my point. Yes. My original point is that these institutions, yes, can have rules. There can be rules about discipline, but institutions also involve in line with common sense and, current realities. Now, some of these rules have to change.
Yes.
Now, people have their own beliefs. They have their constitutional rights. The military is not superior in terms of its own rules to the Constitution of Nigeria. That point has to be well made. And that is why even there are court-martials or military disciplinary processes. At the end of the day, these are subjected to what the Constitution says. And how do institutions abuse their rules, sometimes in an arbitrary manner? Do you know that at a point in this country, some of these banks, some of these your favorite banks, turn themselves into family planning clinics? If you married a banker, they started giving rules as to when your wife could get pregnant. They will say a woman in a marketing department was not allowed to get pregnant. These are anti-women, anti-family, retrogressive policies that you find not just in institutions, but that are also being imitated by other institutions in Nigeria. How can you marry a woman and you are the head of your house and one bank manager will say your wife cannot get pregnant until such a time? That is that kind of abuse that we are fighting against. Don't support it, Tunro. Don't support it.
I don't support it. I do not support it.
Well, all right. We shall take another story. The Ooni of Ife, Oba Adeyeye Ogunwusi, has narrated how he once attempted to commit suicide, but had to change his mind after listening to music. The monarch, while speaking at an event, tagged memorable moments with music on Wednesday, described music as a key component of human existence, an iconic cultural expression, and the best endowment from God to humanity. He said he began having suicidal tendencies after taking a loan of 8 billion naira 12 years ago to build a high-rise, which he had to pull down and lost all the money invested. He then began listening to a series of inspirational music, which in turn elevated his spirits. Well, in another development, the Ooni's wife, Queen Naomi Shilekun-Ola, took to Instagram on Thursday to announce that she no longer wants to be referred to as the Queen of Ife or the wife of the monarch. In a lengthy statement, Naomi detailed issues that prompted the failure of their marriage of 3 years, further stating that she now wants to be referred to as the Queen of the People and the mother of her son, Prince Tadenikawo Ogunwusi. Tundu, I'm coming to you on both stories. I don't know where you want to start from, whether Ooni's inspirational music that cured his suicidal tendencies or the failure of his marriage.
I'll start at the top with him. I think doing a service to humanity by sharing that deeply personal story. And I imagine that it will help a lot of people. And I think it's, Bob Marley that says once the music hits, you feel no pain. Music is therapy. And it's a really important point that he made, that when you're, desperate and despairing, just all is not lost. You can reach out to certain resources, such as inspirational music. And, on the flip side of it, the dark side of music also exists, where music has been linked to certain crimes. Like drill music and knife crime in London. But I think that's an important service he made, especially because he's the Ooni of Ife. And we know the significance of that throne. I mean, it's steeped in mythology in Yoruba land. That's the paramount rule that I don't need to get into all the Odudu, I mean, we all know. So a man like him, this is the thing that I was talking about earlier with institutions vis-a-vis the individual. Sometimes you take off that garb and you're a person rather than the Ooni of Ife. He was just relating to everybody else, person to person, and that's beautiful. But the flip side of it is his estranged wife's announcement of the end of her marriage. Now, I have no interest, as you know, in talking about individuals. I'll try and stick to the issue. This is the flip side of it. When you are a part of an institution where there's some kind of decorum that's expected because of that royal stool, that ancient stool. This is the 51st Ooni of Ife. I don't mean to give everybody a historical lecture, but she in her position...
Go ahead. It's useful.
Do we have time? Yeah, in her position as the Olori is not just anybody. And it's unfortunate, I guess, also ties into the previous story where people use social media to share their good news, the way people rush to social media to share news. I suppose we have to get used to it. This is the times that we're living in, but it's not expected. I mean, you'll see, I'm sure, Brazilians, Afro-Latinos and Afro-Latinas, and they're linked to Yoruba culture. They're practically genuflecting before the Ooni of Ife. This current one, previous ones, is the 51st, in such an illustrious line. So the fact that we have to see these kinds of reports, the fact that, unfortunately, this marriage has not worked, as his previous one didn't, is sad for them as individuals, but I do urge everybody to also respect the institution that they represent.
Okay, first, quickly, I'll try to be brief, although I can talk the audio on this. I think I would like to first start by congratulating the Ooni of Ife on the 6th anniversary of his ascension to the throne of his ancestors. Dagunro Okodu, ekun tó ń fin torítorí, ekun tó ń fin tìrìtìrò. Adigumala, awo funfun, kábíyèsí ayé. Yesterday, I attended, the event at the Muson Center where he had this moment, with music.
Yes.
And the point that he made when that event started 3 days ago was the therapeutic value of music. And I think he was very strong on that point. He has a group, the Ooni of Ife's band group that was also on stage yesterday. And he contextualized it. He said, look, he took a loan of 8 billion naira to build a high-story building. The money went down the drain. And, he felt like committing suicide 12 years ago. But he didn't, at the end of the day, commit suicide. He had hope, he struggled through it. Today, he's now the Ooni of Ife, right? He's now, somebody inspiring other people. Now, suicide rate in Nigeria, we have always said here, has gone up.
Yes.
So what he's saying originally is first about suicide, that people should not lose hope. That, if there is life, there is a tomorrow. And I think that is a very strong message. The second strong message is about music. You can use music for about anything. Yesterday, I was there, great event. And the high moment for me was when the Bethesda School of the Blind, that is supported by the Ooni, came on stage. These blind young people, excellent music, exhilarating moment. So this is the message. As for the issue with the Oluris, the Aya Oromilas, and what they do, in the Obas, that's not part of my business. I don't talk about people's wives, as I do not expect you to talk about my own privacy. That's the Obas privacy. But I guess as the Ooni, if you marry the Ooni of Ife, the Adimula, then of course it comes with certain challenges.
Those challenges,
right?
Yes.
And people should know that, once you buy into something, you know what you may expect.
Yes,
absolutely.
Quickly, Rufai, just a quick comment.
I think the message here is that the secret of life is the power of hope.
Yeah.
And please, I know you might not have the chance to do a good Christmas because you don't have money. You feel the world has dejected you. You feel everything is all down for you. You might have lost somebody you love. But please just hope on. Tomorrow will be bright.
Well, thank you all. And Merry Christmas Eve. And I'm sorry, this is maybe, it's not even on a sad note. I thought that was a great gift that the Ooni gave us all.
A wonderful public service.
Well, that's all I have for you on What's Trending today. I'll see you tomorrow on Christmas Day. Well, no.
You are here tomorrow?
No. Next week.
Okay.